Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And a shout out to Yakin that's out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash, Barak Thump. So, last weekend, we know that, there was a lot of mischief going on, meaning that they're having unity camps, and unity for what? Because, well, for one, you don't allow confusion of faces there, so I don't see how you're unifying or agreeing on anything if confusion of faces ain't allowed there, because isn't that a major part? That he would, that the should be as the sand of the sea, which no man could number. So if you don't believe that, then how are you unification of that, right? So, because you've got many of us that don't look like each other, because we're going to look like the other nations where we've been scattered to, And I've stated before that I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of confusion of faces happen to be Syrian. Apostle Tahar just recently, in one of his videos, had mentioned that I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if some of them turn out to be Palestinian, because we've been scattered to and fro all around. And we know that we bear the curses, of being oppressed, and our oppressors have the first hand that we have no nation. We haven't been a nation since they conquered Jerusalem, And there was no unification back there, Yahushai did not just say, well, let's just all be Israelites and just hang out and barbecue. Now, that's not what was happening. No, you had separatists, You had your Pharisees, you had your scribes, but they were all different. There was no unification camps, none whatsoever. Most didn't even believe what Yahushua was teaching was the truth, man. They began to question that, especially them Pharisees and scribes. So, same thing happening now, The only thing that they're unified in is their hatred for Great Millstone, because we point out the fact, hey, man, you're going off. And that's what true love is telling you, man, you're going off there, man. That's not the truth, And like everything else, though, you can't be unified if you don't all agree upon something. Because, again, it's not about reunifying the nation of Yasharahla. That only gets reunified through the elect. Those elect are going to be the first fruits, and that's how Yahusha is going to be unified. Other than that, if you ain't part of the first fruits, man, you ain't going to unify on anything. No, man, that's why 2/3 got to be cut off, and we know that 2/3 is joined unto Esau. While you may not necessarily teach anymore that he's a so-called white man and believe all that garbage, but yet at the same time, though, you're still calling him Jesus Christ because you want your 501c3. And you want to call him Yahuwah or Yahusha, or Yahweh, Jesus, You call him all these other names except his real name. And once you know what his name is and you start calling him on the other names, that's blasphemy. That's taking the name of the Most High in vain. And anything that pretty much comes against Yahweh, Yahushai, this word, is blasphemy. So the only thing they're unified in is blasphemy. And while that's going on, Hurricane Barry is wreaking havoc on the mid-south there, Of course we pray for our camps that would be there, especially Georgia and Florida, We got camps in Houston, They survived the last one, But like everything else, though, man, it's wreaking havoc. As well as, I've heard about power outages in other places as well, Trying to remember where it was aside from the mid-south, but I think I was in Manhattan over the weekend. It's either Manhattan or Brooklyn. One of them places they had power outages. I'll have to relook at Slovakia for that, but nonetheless, though, this place is being judged at the same time, though, man, because Most High ain't with these unifications, which is why so many of us went to reiterate Apostle Tahar, including Apostle Gabar and Apostle Aramla, just the ridiculousness of unity camps. Because again, unity means that you all agree. You can't just agree, oh yeah, I'm an Israelite, but I believe this. It doesn't work that way, And again, you know, what's kind of funny is in one of his In Transit videos, Apostle Tahar, you know, I talked about how, well, if Edomites could be saved, then why, he says, you go telling them the truth. You start reading out of Revelation chapter 1, and they're going to tell you that, you know, well, I can give you an example. My mom, who's an Edomite, yes, I'm a Confucian of faith, duh. I think you can tell by looking at me. She was an Edomite. My father is where the seed line comes from. And I told her what was in there. She said, well, that doesn't mean that he was a nigger. And she tried to go with the whole copper thing, you know, in trying to, you know, make it seem like he's going to look more like an Arab, you know, trying to go with that. Nonetheless, though, the scriptures are here. If you tell this to an Edomite, they're going to say something similar to that. So I'm just going to read out of Revelation chapter 1, verse 12, because, you know, here it is, the stronghold of Caesar Borgia, and the images that we've been given, yet they don't follow what this book says. Starting in verse 12, Revelation chapter 1, verse 12. And I turned to see the voice that spake to me. And being turned, I saw the 7 golden candlesticks. And in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks, one was like the Son of Man, clothed with garment down in the foot, to the foot, and a girdle, and the paps, and a gird about the paps with the golden girdle, you know, meaning that he had a very strong girdle around him. Well, that doesn't match any of the pictures of Caesar Borgia, now does it? His head and hairs were white like wool, as white as snow. So he had hair white like wool, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. So he also had red eyes. His eyes were a flame of fire. That doesn't seem to match Caesar Borgia. Does the images you've seen of Caesar Borgia show any hair white like wool? Does it match? You know, this is more than obvious. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burnt in a furnace. So, in other words, he was dark. He was charcoal, as if he burned in a furnace. That was the color. So he was very, very dark brown. Because fine brass is already brown, aka copper looking, but then you darken that as if burned in a furnace. What do you think that's going to look like? Very dark skin. And his voice as the sound of many waters. And he had in his right hand served 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp 2-edged sword, and his countenance was as the sun shineth in his strength. And when I saw him, I fell at his feet as dead. And he laid his right hand upon me, saying unto me, Fear not, I am the first and the last. So you can see, you know, that Yahushua definitely does not look like the images that we were told. Okay, that's the first steps. You know, when I first heard this, that's how I came into the truth. And it was Great Millstone in Toronto. It was a video, just like what I'm doing. You know, it was a video, and they were gathered in downtown Toronto, and I happened to catch that video because, you know, Ruach HaKodesh came over me because I was just speaking against Zionism and against the oppression. And then I said, by the way, those aren't the real Jews in Israel today. The real ones are in captivity and still are till this day. You call them black people. And I said that, then I went to research that. And that's how I found Great Millstone in Toronto. And then the revelation on what Yahushua looked like. Because I had already accepted that the original Jews, if you will, were black. And sure enough, it was there. Then eventually I would find out I was in confusion of face too. Because an Edomite can't receive that, man. They're going to just deny. Just like my mom did when I told her the revelation. Because you know how it is when you receive this revelation. At first, man, you're excited. You want to go tell everyone about it, right? But they don't receive you. Nah, man. Many deny, you know. Yeah, you go tell them that. You know, kind of like I've done many times on the streets here, you know. They want to talk about Jesus. When I tell them that, well, that's not his name, that he had a Hebrew name, man, they don't want to hear any part of that. Now, man, they just rather believe in their own personal Jesus that loves everybody. Well, that guy doesn't exist. He's totally made up. Just like the tooth fairy, just like everything else, man. That guy doesn't exist. You know? Recently, there's another brother, Defenders for the Truth, did an excellent video on the breakdown of the real Christians versus Christianity, you know, Edo-Christianity, you know, and the real truth there. Man, we can't all come in unison under that because, again, you know, he only came to save his elect. He didn't even come to save the whole nation of Yahshua. You know, because he's going to say to many on that day, depart from me, you workers of iniquity, for I never knew you. And that's just it. These unity camps they did over the weekend are workers of iniquity. That's the only thing they're unified on is iniquity. And they're going to be destroyed for that. Every one of them. They don't repent, come out of that. And many of them don't want to. They're going to take that microchip. And they're going to keep on receiving their 501c3 status. They chose money. Their God is money. So, you know, for that, they are one. And they're going to be judged with Babylon the Great, because that's right around the corner. You can see the judgments going out. Retail apocalypse, now you see more articles on it. They've just been kind of quiet about it, but now that's out there. You know, because this is the mid-year terms. Well, you already seen the closures of Payless and Shopko. Those are out, you know, and you're seeing it happen. You're seeing a lot more places shut down. And that's just it. They're going to keep shutting places down until it gets to the point that almost everything you want to order is online. Well, they can control that digitally, you know. Even Walmart is pushing its customers to try the apps. And that's just it, though, is to get everybody used to the chips, you know, used to digital currency, because they want to phase out the old system. And that's another thing this war is all about, is trying to seize the oil. I mean, do I have to tell you about what happened in Iran? You know, with what's going on with Iran and Syria and the seized shipments? This is going to lead to escalation of war. And that's what they want, is broke Iran to a war. But Iran did not do the things that they said that they did, but this is to build up a coalition. They think they're going to strike Iran like they struck Saddam Hussein in Iraq years ago. But this is not going to be like another Iraq. This is World War III, because Russia will step in. Russia already stepped in to defend Venezuela, and definitely stepped in to defend Syria from the terrorists. And there's a lot of infighting in Syria that you're not going to be told about. That is, unless you do watch the alternative media. We're that alternative media. That's where the term comes from, because we're actually telling you the truth, you know, about what's going on. They ain't going to tell you that on the mainstream. Now, them Zionists, they're the ones that run everything, and they're not going to tell you the truth, because that would hurt their propaganda machine. But you see, their propaganda machine is breaking down. Satan is beginning to cast out Satan. And that's just it, though, is we're at the very end of this. So get this while you can, because the famine of the word is right around the corner. For that, I want to say, Braka the Yahweh, Braka the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, Wa Abba Babal, Brakatum, to you hopeful elect.